I guess I'm just a very persistent guy. I don't give up easily, and I keep chasing this, not this dream of becoming a pop star. I think I gave that up many years ago. But the kick of making a good pop song and playing it back and thinking, I got it.
Rob Ruckus,
Nick Collins,
Kate Clover,
Keith Semple,
Isaiah Mitchell,
Billy Harvey,
Tim Howard. Check it out, Almost Famous Magazine.
Hey everyone, welcome back to The Hang, brought to you by Almost Famous Magazine. David Myhr is a Swedish power pop master whose 30-plus year career that began as a singer-songwriter and guitarist for the Merrymakers before evolving into a solo catalog built on soaring harmonies, unforgettable hooks, and a deep love of classical pop craftsmanship took off. His third solo album, Everything Is All About You, brings that lifelong musical curiosity together with collaborators connected to the Posies, Matthew Sweet, 10cc, Jeff Lynne's ELO, Cheap Trick, and the Zombies. And he's moving from sunlit West Coast pop and piano-driven songwriting all the way over to orchestral arrangements and a deeply personal father-daughter song, Doodlebug, on this album. I'm your host, Scott Saldinger. If this is your first hang, welcome. If you've been with us here before, thank you so much for coming back and sharing this. Please subscribe, share, help support the podcast. You can also take the hang with you anywhere you listen to your podcast. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more. With new songs including Summer, 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 Take a Run at the Sun, Say Yes, and the rocking title track, David joins us to talk about 3 decades of chasing the perfect melody and why his most ambitious chapter may be the one unfolding right now. David, welcome to The Hang.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for a great introduction.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm excited. I've listened to the album. I have all kinds of feelings, and they're all good and positive. So we're going to have a lot of questions today. But we typically start these with getting to know one another and allowing the audience to get to know you. And where we start is with the moment that your relationship with music began. Tell me the story of how that relationship began. Did you find music? Did music find you? And how that blossomed into where you are today?
Well, there was a piano at home in northern Sweden, the town called Piteå, where I actually am right now. But there was this piano, and I had 3 elder brothers who were taking classes and doing their lessons and reading sheet music. And so it was around a little bit. And none of them were phenomenal. I don't know if they mind me saying that, but then, I don't know, there was not more music in our house than any other house. Of course, they were elder brothers, so they listened to Cat Stevens, Pink Floyd, David Bowie, Neil Young, and Deep Purple, or whatever that was around in the 70s when I was a boy. But the real big thing to me happened when John Lennon died, and this wave of Beatles nostalgia took over the world for a moment, and I was swept into my own kind of Beatlemania. During the 80s, when I was from 10 to 20 years old, I became obsessed, like so many other people have been through the decades.
What was it about that music that spoke to you and gave you the desire to make your own music?
It's going to be a long answer, so I don't know to sum it up. I guess it's everything. Everything with the Beatles that was so fascinating, the story about how they got together and how it evolved and how it ended and how the music changed from album to album so radically, and all that stuff was kind of told again to a new generation, and I was just taking it all in, and I soon titled myself an expert in the subject. I even ended up on Swedish television competing on the subject. I read every book that was around, but it was everything about the music, everything about the songs, how they sang, how they looked, how they dressed, how they talked about life. You know, I breathed the Beatles, as they say. But I realize I'm not alone.
Oh, no, you are far from alone on that one, for sure. But what was it about that education that got you to pick up your musical instrument, start to write, start to create? What gave you that energy and that idea that I can do this as well?
I don't know. It was just maybe it wasn't particularly the Beatles. It was just sitting at home by the piano, and I was taught some chords, and that gave me kind of a key to how music works, and I could kind of hear a song on the radio or on the TV, and I said, I can play that. It's just these chords, and I kind of figured it out on my own quite easily, and it was fun to just try to make up my own little melody, but it was nothing I took serious at all. I became, in my teens, more like a blues rocker and played ZZ Top covers and Eric Clapton covers, and rock and roll was the thing for a while. But then when I turned 18, my friend Peter and we thought, let's have a go at writing some pop songs. And we went back to the 60s, mostly the Beatles, the Hollies, the Kinks, the Zombies, and started. And then that led to us discovering 90s artists or late 80s artists like Crowded House and Matthew Sweet and Elvis Costello, whatever, any kind of good pop in the same tradition. We took it in, and as you do, if you take a lot in, at the end, some things come out as well.
Absolutely. So was your first foray as part of the Merrymakers, or did you have other musical outings prior to evolving into that group?
Well, the blues band was a local thing only. We were called Secondhand B Band, just playing blues covers, boogie music. But then when we started, me and this guy Peter started a band, we called ourselves Ant Manson, because my last name Myhr is close to Myra, which is ant in Swedish, and his name was Carlson, which is Manson. Strange name. Later we developed into the Merrymakers. When we got a record deal, we thought we need to have a proper name, and we looked up a funny word in the dictionary.
What was it about that career that gave you the impetus to go it on your own, now that you've got your third solo album coming out?
Well, I guess I'm just a very persistent guy. I don't give up easily, and I keep chasing this, not this dream of becoming a pop star. I think I gave that up many years ago. But the kick of making a good pop song and playing it back and thinking, I got it, I did it. That's something very valuable. And the band, we were started as a 5-piece. We became a 3-piece in the 90s. The Merrymakers that made 2 albums. One guy, this guy Peter, left the band, so it was just me and Anders. We were a duo suddenly. And then he and I wasn't really communicating in the best way. So when we gave up working together, I was just the Merrymaker instead of the Merrymakers. So I just kept going and thought, okay, I can do this on my own now. I can call anyone and see what happens. It was just a newfound freedom, but I was more than 40 years old at the point, and I thought, I can have a solo career. Maybe nobody cares, but I'll have a go at it.
I love that. I mean, you can't give up, because if you give up, you won't create, you won't advance, you won't find that for which is feeding you.
I mean, I think a lot of people look for what was feeding them instead of looking for keeping on doing music, which is mostly a bad decision when it comes to career thinking and earning money and stuff. I'm sure there's a lot of indie pop people from the 90s that became advertising agency bosses and did that for a while instead, and they might miss making records. I don't know. I have the luxury of having a job where I teach music and music production and songwriting, so I can kind of go back and forth between that role and doing it on my own. And had I worked at a bank or something, or an insurance company, it might have been more difficult to, hey, I need to go to the studio and record a song here. It's just, you make choices, and I prioritized going on with this struggle of making music.
I think you've made some wise choices. You've got a great catalog, for sure, for sure.
Thank you.
I want to hit back on one thing that when you were just a youngster sitting at that piano, because you said something that I'm curious about. You were able to listen to the radio and figure out the songs. Do you have perfect pitch? Are you blessed with perfect pitch?
No, maybe it's a curse. I don't know. I don't have perfect pitch, but I can hear how the chords are related to each other. So if I hear a song, I know this is the 1 chord, that's the 4 chord, that's the 2 chord. And so I got a kind of a good ear, but not perfect pitch. No, I usually sing out of pitch. I have to correct it a little bit. With the new tools.
Yeah, I certainly... Yes, absolutely. And I certainly wish I would have had perfect pitch when I was younger, but it was figuring things out was always a struggle to hear properly. So I admire anyone who's blessed with perfect pitch to be able to just pick the notes out of the air one at a time. So
yeah, I mean, I can recreate a melody when I hear it, but when I say perfect pitch, I can't tell if it's a little bit low or a little bit high. If someone plays the violin, it sounds good to me, whatever they play.
You know, sometimes you go with what works, right?
Yeah.
Perfection is the enemy of good. So, so that new album is out. You can get it physically on September 18th, digitally on October 2nd. Everything is all about you. Of course, everyone who watches us knows that we really highly support buy a physical version, purchase your art. There are going to be links down below, so you don't have to worry about finding out where to go. We're going to make sure that you know where you can find this music. But I want to take some time and talk about a few of the songs that really struck something with me.
Oh,
and then branch
fantastic.
out into your bigger catalog. How does that sound?
Sounds amazing. I can't even imagine that somebody have listened to the album yet, and obviously you have. So that's going to be interesting for me because it's the first time I kind of, somebody actually took the time.
Absolutely. I wanted to make sure that I understood your music, and let me tell you something. You're in Sweden. I'm in Dallas, Texas right now, and it made the beautiful sunny day even brighter and sunnier. The music on your tracks is just, I'm fascinated because it's all very uplifting. It's all very light. It's got this real positive feeling about it, right? My first question about the album is, you've lived a good life. Where are you finding this youthful energy, this youthful sound in the music you're making now? Is that something that comes naturally for you, or is that purposeful in a way?
It's hard to say. I mean, I'm not a fan of dark, doomy, depressing pop music. I'm not a fan of the Smiths. I'm not a fan of Nick Drake. I'm not a fan of Velvet Underground's darker periods. I kind of go to the lighter, not always maybe happy lyrics, because it can become too much. But if there's a certain amount of melancholy, the hooky melody, and just pops out, it's usually the songs I'm drawn to. But it's hard to say if it comes natural. Then again, I mean, on this new album, I have a minor key ballad that is kind of sad. So there's a little mixture, and I even have a kind of a jazzy song, a ballad too. So it's not only upbeat, but yeah, if I can choose between Hello Goodbye with the Beatles and I'm So Tired, I'll go for Hello Goodbye.
Goodbye. I had a feeling. Yes, I mean I still look at an album as a collection, whereas we live in this world of I call them shufflers, right? People just find a song, go to a song, whatever. But listening to this as a complete collection, the vast majority, it is very up and it's very bright, and it sparkles in a way that I think when people hear it, it will lift them up. The song Say Yes. Tell me about that song, where it came from for you in writing it.
Yeah, I'm a melody driven guy, so and I compare myself to some of the greatest composers in the world, like Jeff Lynne, Benny Anderson, Elton John. None of them are lyric driven, thinking I need to tell the world about this, I need to express my view on this. Rather, there's a look for a melody that moves you, that takes you somewhere else, and that's what I'm looking for. And Say Yes, I guess it's just started with a chord sequence, uh, pretty well known chord sequence, but the melody on top of it, kind of, yeah, I think that has something. And I sent it to my co-writer Bill DeMain in Nashville, who has become my Bernie Taupin in the sense that he on 5 of the 10 songs on this new album he put lyrics to my melodies, and this was one of them. And he said he liked the verse, and I just made up a chorus. So there's no real story behind it, rather than trying to find a melody that stands on its own and that kind of takes me somewhere else. And then he put this positive lyric about saying yes to things, but also with a little dose of melancholy to it.
Well, I think that one of the things that touched me about the song is, again, I mean, we've both lived a fair amount of time. I think that as you one of the things that happens when you get older to some people is they struggle to say yes. So I think the
Yeah,
message of saying yes is a fabulous message to get across to people, because you can say
absolutely.
yes at any age.
Absolutely. And as Bill DeMain himself told me, he thought it had a kind of a Beatley, which it tends to have, Beatley sound to it. So he was thinking about the famous story about when John met Yoko at the Indica Gallery in 1966, and he was attending an exhibition of hers. He climbed a ladder, took out a, what is it called? A looking glass and magnifying glass. He looked in the ceiling, and there was this little yes written in the ceiling by Yoko, and he got a kick out of that. So that's kind of reflected also in the lyrics. So there's this little Beatle connection, as every song should have.
Nice, nice. That's fabulous. Tell me about Take a Run at the Sun.
It's a very similar story. The only difference is that it's a more laid back melody, not as driving, not as direct, maybe. And it was a song that I was playing around with even before my second album, Lucky Day, I think back in 2014. And it's an example that I can go and carry melodic ideas around for years and years and years. I call myself a lazy songwriter in the sense that I don't write a song every day, or not even 10 every year. I write when I feel like it, and I can find a piano or a guitar, and I come up with this little melody, and it's been lying around for years. It was called from the beginning something about funny time, something like that. And then I sent it to Bill. Sometimes I send along my nonsense lyrics, but he didn't use that funny time. He was like, right here and the right now, and it became this beautiful song. So the only thing I can say is that it's a melody I wrote, but it was a long time ago, and it got its life from the lyric that Bill wrote for it. And there's a story behind those lyrics as well, because he has a brother who had been ill for a while, and with some doubts about, am I going to be able to do this or that in the future? And Bill wrote it as a kind of pep talk to his brother. And later they went on a successful trip to Japan together, and Bill just reflected that the song became like a postcard to their future selves in a way.
Wow. I like that. I mean, the last song that really struck me, and I see these three songs, and now that I'm understanding some of this thought behind it, I can see the connective tissue here. Because you go from, you've got Say Yes, which means accept and do. Then you got Take a Run of the Sun, which you're doing something. And then once you start being an object in forward motion, something will happen someday soon. I really enjoyed Someday Soon. And I think those three together kind of, to me, told a kind of a story when you tie them together.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm just as just like you. I can interpret them any way I want because I didn't write those lyrics myself. In the case of Summer, 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 I might have written the actual hook, but not the actual story. And Someday Soon is written together with Brad Jones, who is also based in Nashville, who is a fantastic producer you might know of, who I worked with on the second album, Lucky Day. And he helped me finish up this pretty simple melody that I had lying around. He came to Stockholm, and I kept on bugging him up. Can you write a lyric to it? Can you write a lyric? And he put together these really beautiful words of the song "Someday Soon" about we're on a big blue ball that's spinning. We're all living on the same planet. Can we just try to be friends? Basically, I think it's a beautiful lyric.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things that I enjoy learning from musicians is your body of work is your catalog. And some of the songs were obviously singles because you have to promote the album, things come out that way. But are there one or two songs that are within your entire catalog that you feel really define you as a musician and with the way that you want the world to hear and perceive you? So if I'm just watching us today and I'm going to go down the rabbit hole of your catalog, are there one or two songs that are like, those mean the most to you and you feel that they best represent you so that someone else can go listen to those songs?
Well, one that comes to mind is one we did with the Merrymakers, which was supposed to be on our second album, but it was like number 15 on our contenders list because it was unfinished. It didn't have lyrics. It lacked a chorus even. And we were lucky enough to be working together with Andy Sturmer of our big favorite band Jellyfish. And we came to his house in Oakland and we said, we got these songs. And he had listened through them and he picked out his favorites. But then he picked out this number 15 as well. I think this has potential. And we said, oh, I'm sorry, it's not finished. And then he started to sing, maybe you can try something like this on the chorus. And he just made up this otherworldly, beautiful melody. She packed in January, she left in February. Just a beautiful melody that was exactly what the song was lacking. I had made this melody, and then we all got together, Peter and Anders from the band and Andy, and put lyrics to it. It became April's Fool, and Andy produced it in a beautiful way when he came to Stockholm later. So on my deathbed, I will present that song. I'm proud of this one. Listen to this, because it has everything a song should have, I think. It sounds maybe more retro and more Beatley and whatever, even ABBA, than what we were trying to do at the time. We were trying to update ourselves in sounding like more like the Britpop wave or something like that, or indie pop. But it's close to my heart, and it's the first one I come to think of.
I think that's fantastic, and especially since that will be the song that you take to the grave. So
Yeah,
to say.
exactly.
That is the one you're going to hang your hat on as you leave the building. I love that. When you first embarked on becoming a musician, and when we start things, we typically have no idea where the middle or the end could be. It's up to anyone's guess. But during the journey that you have been on, has there been a moment that just stands out to you where It could have been in a studio, it could have been on a stage, it could have been something that a fan of your music said to you. But the way that it resonated to you was, I'm finally where I know I should be. This is what I envisioned this life and this career to be. Have you had a moment like that?
Uh, well, most of the moments have not been like that. It has been, I'm joking a little bit, but it's been an uphill battle and a big struggle and lots of failures and disappointments along the way. Anyone who has seen the movie Spinal Tap knows what the life of a rock band can be. And it's always, you come to a gig and people say, oh, you should have been here last weekend when the blah, 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 because it was much better then. And, all those things happening and all the time. But I guess an important thing for us was this thing when Andy Sturmer kind of approved of us and said, hey guys, you're good. You make serious pop music. You calling yourself the Merrymakers is like putting a clown's nose on the Mona Lisa. You guys write serious pop. And hearing that from our greatest hero, at least in the level below the Beatles, Jeff Lynne, Tom Petty, but just below there was this, because they were our current favorite band on earth. That was kind of a, oh really? So you mean we know how to write a pop song for real? And then when we got an audience in Japan in the fall of 1997, and we came there to sign records in record stores, and people lined up to buy this record, and our song was a radio hit on 20 or 27 FM stations. It was like, whoa, this was what we always dreamt about. Then it became difficult to try to recreate that, because it was that particular song at that particular moment at that particular country. And we wanted to expand on that, but it turned to be a little bit more difficult than we thought. But as an example, those two were big standout moments from the 90s, at least. It can, even today, when I go to Japan, and instead of 80,000 followers, I might have 80 followers. But if somebody comes to me with a record and says, I'm looking forward to your new album, it's like, really? On the other side of the planet, there's somebody actually waiting for this? That can make my day.
I hear that story and I'm feeling warm inside. I mean, just imagine how good that must feel when someone approaches you that way. I think that's fabulous. I think that's absolutely fabulous. And one of the reasons I ask a question like that is to see if someone's taken the time to not only do the work to get there, but also to be in a moment to receive the consciousness of that gratitude, whether it's from the experience or from another person. Because sometimes we move a little too fast and we don't stay in those moments long enough to realize how important they are to us.
Yeah, and it's such a difference, because I've been doing other stuff within my musical career. For instance, I've been in a ABBA tribute band for quarter of a century by now. We call ourselves Super Trooper, and I'm Benny. I got the wig and I got the platform shoes, and we go out and we entertain crowds of people, and we make people happy, dancing, singing along. And I even, as a substitute as a Benny in another band, I went to the States touring in 2004 and 5. I played the Hollywood Bowl for 16,000 people. I was like, whoa, I'm Benny, I'm ABBA, whoa, waving to people hundreds of meters away, and they were waving back. And then when I go off stage, take off the wig, take off the platform shoes, put on my own jacket, eat my hamburger, nobody cares about me. It's like, oh, it wasn't me. It was the phenomenon, which was okay. It was a great experience, and I loved playing their songs, and I loved making people happy. But to be in a little bar in Osaka, playing for this tiny little crowd that paid an entrance fee to come and hear my songs, it becomes something different. It's not that I'm want to be egocentric or something, but it's just that the music communicates something that I felt inside, resonates with somebody on the other side of the planet, just like I just said. It's a great feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, especially in today's day and age where we have the ability. I mean, you're in Sweden, I'm in Texas, and we're able to communicate like this. We're able to be together, albeit remotely. We can have that community, and people, for what it's worth, the business these days is much more flooded with the content of the day. But
Yeah,
at the same time, you can find what resonates with you and make a connection. So there may be a lot of it, but you can find what works for you. So I think
yeah,
it's a great thing as well. Um, we all live lives where people come and go through our life, and sometimes people make no impression on us, and sometimes people make monumental impressions on us. Right?
yeah.
Has there been somebody that crossed your path in your musical career that gave you maybe a bit of insight or some encouragement or an idea? And even though that person may not be in your life today, it meant so much to you that you took that and held it closely and find yourself maybe depositing on that on someone else, maybe your students, a piece of advice, or they said something that always is in the back of your mind so that when you're writing, you think of them and that thing. Has there been someone who's had that type of impact on you? Who would that be? And tell me about the impact they made.
Somebody that I have met in person, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, now I've mentioned Andy Sturmer from Jellyfish a couple of times already, so I feel like a parrot saying it again. But it was a good example of exactly that, because he did say some encouraging things, just like I said, and he said wise stuff that I didn't think about myself at the time. Like when we were rehearsing, we were saying, but how are we going to be able to recreate that live? Or how are we going to do this? Or can you really do this? Isn't it better to do this like that instead of that? And he said, what matters is what comes out of the speakers. That was his mindset. Nobody gives a shit about how you got to there, how long you worked on a song, or how you connected the guitar through whatever equipment to do that, or if you're able to recreate a certain part live or not. What matters is what comes out of the speakers. And that's something I actually tell my students, 30 years later. Uh, don't think too much. Just make it sound fantastic, and you're on you're on a good path. So,
I
with the
think
risk of being predictable, I'll give that as my answer.
Oh, look, as a fan of Jellyfish, I can certainly appreciate it, and I think for you to be able to give that to your students is a gift that they can take into their lives and their careers, and it will help them become greater. And Andy will have touched their lives as well. So I think that's fabulous.
Yeah.
Mm. Um, you began your musical career in a different. The business was in a different place back then. Let's call it that.
Oh yeah.
How do you feel about the modern music business and a number of the things, whether it's the constant content creation or the social media or having fewer resources and having to do more? How do you feel about the current state of being a musician?
It's what do you say? Double-edged sword. Is that the word? Is that how you say it? It's like, I mean, when we started out in the early 90s as a band, a local band in the north of Sweden, we only could make cassette copies of our music and send to the local paper and to the bar owner in the city next to us and hope for a gig. And that was kind of it. We could always send our cassette tapes to the 5 record companies or 6 record companies in Stockholm and hope that somebody there would listen to them and think highly of it and call us back and give us a record contract. But if they didn't, it was kind of closed door. We couldn't get in touch with people in other countries, or at least we didn't know how to. And on the other hand, once you got a record deal, you were helped with promotion and budgets and whatever. But I tell my students today it's kind of hopeless getting a record deal, but you know what? You can put out your music and you can, in theory, have it heard all around the globe tomorrow if you want. The problem is you're one of 80,000 people who just uploaded a song on Spotify today, and that was even before AI slop came to existence. So it's really difficult. I think it's an exciting time because you can find like-minded people in other parts of the world and build communities around whatever subgenre you're in. In my case, we didn't know we played power pop when we started. We thought we played pop for the masses. We thought we were going to be hugely successful. Well, we didn't think so, but we tried. But then we realized, oh, our genre of Beatles influenced guitar based pop with singable melodies and 3-part harmonies is something very obscure. It's something that men in their late 50s likes, that once bought the records by Raspberries and Badfinger. And this was 30 years. Now I'm a 56-year-old guy myself listening to Badfinger and Raspberries. I know I'm not answering your question now, but what I want to say is that I have lots of feelings about this. I think it's exciting that I can do it still. I'm 56. Nobody cares in the media world or at the record companies, but I can do it. I can record an album as long as I can get some money for it, and I can release it, and I can find people in Spain, in California, in Japan who might listen to it, and I'm happy. But as for the content thing, it's a blessing and a curse. It's nice to be able to express yourself and build an image of yourself as an artist, but it's a pain in the ass. If you got a clip of one of your collaborators talking about making a song, you have to upload it to Instagram, horizontal, vertical, reels, stories, Facebook page, Facebook personal profile, YouTube, TikTok, bam, make edits, and it can take ages. And I would prefer to write new melodies than doing that. But I tell my students, don't make the mistake of putting all the effort in writing the songs, arranging them, recording them, producing them, mixing and mastering, because that's only the beginning. The real job begins afterwards, to make the world, at least the part of the world that might be interested, make them know that it exists. It's a tough job, but you have to do it.
I think that's fabulous advice. I mean, you really have to be more of a curator of your career now than you ever were before.
Yeah, and I can certainly relate to people who don't like talking about themselves and list that, and it's about what kind of attitude you have. I'm not saying listen to this, vote on my song, buy my record. I'm just saying, here I am, this is my song, this is my video. Do what you want, ignore it if you want to, go somewhere else. But if you like it, here's more. That's the only thing I'm trying to do.
Oh, I think you're doing a great job at it. We go through life, and with hopes and dreams and wishes. Some people keep a vision board every year. Some people have a bucket list. Some people just have dreams. But I find that in order to make things happen, we have to put them out in the real world. So my question for you is, given the career you've had, is there a musician that you have not yet worked with that if you had the opportunity to get into a studio for one day and to collaborate, to make music together, learn from one another, just be present, to have that experience with, who would that musician be, and why them?
Well, I have a tendency, already when I was 10 years old, my heroes were 60s and 70s rock gods. And so my thoughts immediately go to a lot of people that might not be around anymore. Paul McCartney would be the obvious choice. But I could say that, of course, I would love a day with him in the studio. But I will say, just for a change, Jeff Lynne. I know he's getting old himself. He was a bit ill last year when he was ending his final tour. I'm not sure how he's doing right now. I think he's okay. He's just such a master of melody, of music production, recording, songcraft. He might be tired and not very interested to be working with me, but I think we could make something nice if we had a day together.
or maybe he's got nothing on his schedule, and you'll give him something to do. You never know. But now that we've put it out there, and they run in similar circles, our audience knows what they're supposed to do. So if you know Paul McCartney or Jeff Lynne, if you are somehow attached to them, whether you're a cousin, whether you pick up their dry cleaning, clean their house, cut their lawn, walk their dog, if you have a connection, let's make David's dream come true.
I mean, we the three of us could get together as well.
You know what? I'd be more than willing to come and watch that happen, actually. But you never know what's going to happen. You never know. You got to put it out there if the magic's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Everybody, it is important that you continue to support artists that you enjoy. I'm telling you, having heard the new album, very enjoyable, worth every penny that you're going to use to purchase it. And those links are going to be below. All right. Art is not free. It takes money to make art. Whether you're buying paint and canvases or new guitar strings or recording equipment, it takes funds. Support your artists. Buy the music, buy tickets to shows, buy the merch. Make sure that you're supporting artists so that they can, like David, can continue to bring you music that you can enjoy and call your own. With that said, David, when you're not making your own music, and I know you've talked about a lot of different artists that you have, you take influence from, but when you're not making your own artists, and if we were just sitting here having a coffee, a tea, a beer, a cocktail, whatever, and just hanging out, and I'd be like, hey, David, who are a couple of people you've been listening to lately that really excite you? Who are a couple of artists that you're listening to and you're not making your own music that you would share with me in that conversation?
Well, I can honestly say I'm a lazy music discovery person. I want to hear new music that I'm blown away by, but Jellyfish set the standard so high back in the 90s. It's like any other kind of power pop Beatles influenced thing. If it's Crowded House, it's okay. If it's, Delamitri, it's okay. But below that, I'm kind of bored mostly, and I want to be, be blown away. The Lemon Twigs is an example of a band that I'm quite curious about listening to more because they are really good at what they do. Sometimes they sound a bit too much like they are in the 70s. But they have great melodies. They have great energy. I'm going to see them live soon, and so they are high level. And there's this guy that I discovered back in 15 years ago now that I keep talking about. It's a Danish guy called Tim Christensen. He has a band called Dizzy Miss Lizzy, heavy band that I don't listen to, but his solo albums, Honeyburst and Superior, by the Danish artist Tim Christensen. They are beautiful works of art. I went to the show when he celebrated 20 years of the album Honeyburst. Great songwriting. Also, can I go on?
Sure.
Just two more. Brad Jones, my producer in Nashville, my producer and many others' producer, he made a record together with a singer in the Shazam called Hans Rottenberry. Brad Jones and Hans Rottenberry made an album together called Mountain Jack. That's great. It's not new. It's from 2010 or whatever. It's already 15 years old. But what can I do? I'm not chasing music that actively as I should. I'm sure there's a lot of good stuff out there. So I will ask the same question to you and everybody else.
Well, it's funny because I'm hoping that Danny Ayala, who's the keyboardist and bass player in Lemon Twigs. We're actually working on having him on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
You and I are kindred spirits in music. I mean, I am a huge Crowded House fan.
Oh, yeah.
And I may be even a bigger Delamitri fan. We've had a couple of members of Delamitri on the podcast, and I've had the pleasure of photographing them at some shows. So you and I musically are a bit of kindred spirits in that respect. A lot of
I have two more.
Okay. All right.
Sorry for interrupting. Ian Hornell, he is the singer of 10cc now when they do their live shows. He helped me out with some background vocals on my album. Ian Hornell, he has made a couple of great solo albums. And my good friend Peter Morén from Peter, Björn and John, who had this amazing whistle hit in 2006, Young Folks, like a worldwide hit. He has his own one-man band now called Sun Years. So now I'm done.
I think that's fantastic. You definitely, if we ever in the same place at the same time, we're going to have to carve out a lot of time to go down some serious music rabbit holes, because from a genre perspective, especially, if you're talking about pop and power pop and Brit pop, I mean, we could go back to the Nick Lowe days, the Rock Pile days, Elvis Costello.
Yes.
So there's a lot there that to be enjoyed for sure.
Many hidden treasures. Sonic Executive Sessions, Josh Fix. There's so much good music. The only thing I didn't discover so much from the last 5-10 years, but I'm sure there is.
Oh, absolutely. You know what? We'll either for your next album, you'll reappear here, or we'll end up somewhere in the same place in the same time, and we'll have a conversation about it. Everyone, go out and purchase David's music. Purchase the new album. The links will be below. David, I have had a joy getting to know you, and I appreciate you making time to hang with me.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. Everyone, thanks for hanging with us. Please do yourself the greatest favor in the world. Every day, give yourself a little grace, a little kindness. Take a deep breath. Show that compassion to others and get their love and caring back as well. And your life will be fantastic. So, David, it's been a pleasure. Oh, look at that. See, I think I need to make a trip out just to get by the lake. So, David, thank you so much, everybody. Until we meet again, thanks for watching.